Hey guys, how's it going? Oh, here, Share Podcast. I'm gonna have to start doing videos now. I've gotten so busy that I really don't even have time to post on some of the posts here on the Share Podcast private group. But I want to stay connected with you guys because I love you guys, and I'm right there with you. There's so many people, there's so many active members in the group that are actively supporting each other. But this message is for Steve. Steve recently posted on the group, and he had said, are you feeling lonely? Are you feeling lonely? I'm not feeling I think he said I'm not on the edge, or I'm not feeling like using or something like that, but I'm feeling lonely. And I get that. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about my early recovery and how I felt and what was happening with me. First of all, the reason why I'm so busy right now is because I'm knee deep in personal development. I quit my job in February. A lot of you guys know that I was in the online gambling business, which obviously is not congruent with my spiritual principles or with what I'm doing with the podcast. So I left that, and I promised my wife I was done. I wasn't going back to it. And so I just joined a mastermind group. It's the Dad's Edge Alliance mastermind group. And so in there, we meet every week and we talk about our goals. We talk about, what we want to achieve. We hold each other accountable. And it is making a tremendous difference in my life. I am also producing new content for the Share Podcast. I'm going to be doing little mini episodes. Every week on Thursdays, there's going to be like 10, 15-minute episodes where I just discuss one topic. A lot of them come from the Share private group. And I'm also going to be doing videos. And I'm also doing a life coaching. I'm getting life coach certified. And I'm going to be starting a online coaching group for all of you guys in the Share Podcast group as well. So I am so busy right now that I literally don't even have time to think about being lonely. I'm actually more like, how can I get more time so that I can get more done? But that was not the case. That's me now, 14 years later, married, beautiful daughter, beautiful wife, beautiful life, amazing Facebook group that I'm interacting with. But when I was early in recovery, here's where I was at. I was in what I used to call recovery purgatory. It was the time after I had relapsed. So I left, I had gotten about 5 months clean and sober. I was riding a pink cloud. I thought this was it for me. I'm so excited. And then all of a sudden, the pink cloud started to dissipate when I faced some challenges. I was trying to get my wife back, and I realized that she was seeing somebody else. And it's just like, all of a sudden it's like, why the fuck am I even doing any of this? What's the purpose of me even, getting clean and sober? That was, I didn't realize what was happening with me, but what the problem is that I was not getting clean and sober for myself. I was getting clean and sober to get my wife back. So I relapsed, a nasty 2-month relapse, lots of coke, lots of booze, lots of coke, lots of pills, it was just like, I just kicked it up 2 notches, right? And to a certain degree, I think I was trying to kill myself. And then, like many of you know my story, it's my daughter that kept pulling me back in. My daughter's the one who pulled me back in. So that little baby was just constantly running in my mind. So I finally got May 26th, came in, picked up my last white chip. That was May 26, 2003, picked up my last chip. And then I got a new sponsor, and I asked for help, and said I'm willing to go to any length. But the pink cloud was gone. I fucking hated going to meetings, but I was meeting with my sponsor every week, no matter what. I wanted to get high every single day. All the cliches, everybody sharing in there, everybody was happy, and I was fucking pissed, and I was miserable. And I called it recovery purgatory because I didn't want to go back out and use. I knew I couldn't go back out there and hang out with my buddies and use. And I certainly wasn't where these guys were at, happy, joyous, and free. So hanging out with them was kind of annoying. So I was kind of by myself. I found myself kind of alone, a little bit. But I will tell you this much. I had commitments. I had to meet with my sponsor every week, and I had to have step work done, which means I had to do some work. I had to do some personal development. So I had to do step work. And I knew that when we were going to meet on Monday, that if I didn't have that done, that I could risk losing him as a sponsor, because there was certain things. He said, look, these are suggestions that I need you to follow for me to work with you. Because if you don't do them, then I don't want to work with you, all right? So do whatever you want. These are not rules. These are just suggestions. But if you don't do them, I won't work with you. So there it was. I had to go and meet with him. And it wasn't all bad. Like, the whole entire 6 months wasn't miserable. But I just always kind of caught myself going, is this going to be it for me? Like, is this what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life? So I understand that feeling of being lonely, because I would go to a meeting, I would meet with my sponsor, I would talk to the guys at the meeting, but then I'd be home alone by myself. And I'd have a lot of time to think about crazy shit and how miserable I was and how I'd lost everything, and I'd lost my wife, and now she's with somebody else, and I can't hold a job because I'm an emotional fucking train wreck. And, you know, these people at the fucking meetings, they're cool and everything, kind of, but I don't know, and hanging out, what the fuck? God, just crazy ramblings in my head. So here's the thing. There is that time period. I would say that first 6 months of my sobriety was me trying to figure out where I fit in the grand scheme of all this. Am I really a recovering addict now? Am I really that guy? Because I certainly wasn't a, you know, I certainly wasn't, you know, romancing or entertaining the idea that I still had a shot out there. That I knew for sure. My last relapse was fucking brutal. And I knew that that no longer was a part of my life. But wow, was recovery really the answer? Eventually it started to change. It started to shift. And I started to feel different. I started to feel better. And it was only because I just kept going. I just kept going through the motions, fake it till you make it, hanging out with these people that I wasn't really fucking jiving with. But then all of a sudden I woke up and I realized that I actually liked these people, and I could actually reach out to them, and I didn't have to be lonely. I didn't have to sit at home by myself and go, fuck, I'm not feeling kind of connected. I mean, Steve, you posted in the group. That's reaching out. That's what you're doing, what 90% of the people out there that are feeling that way won't do. They won't post somewhere and say, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling disconnected. They won't pick up the 10,000 pound phone that they call and get connected. Because that's what you have to do. You have to take massive action. You have to just kind of like, just say, fuck it. I am not feeling comfortable. I am feeling scared. This is way out of my comfort zone. I'm going to call somebody and say, I'm feeling lonely. Can we go get a cup of coffee? Can we talk? Or I'm just going to try and get to a meeting. And when I get to that meeting, I'm going to go up to somebody. I'm going to say, man, I'm not feeling connected. I'm feeling lonely, and I want to talk to somebody, and I want to hang out with somebody. And doing it online is not the same as like being out at a restaurant, having a cup of coffee, having a real conversation with somebody, and feeling like a fucking human being. Like, that shit's tough in the first year. So this may be a little long-winded, but I just wanted to give my love out to Steve, because Steve's been in this group for, my God, I don't even know how long. I've been watching Steve go through the motions in the rooms, and, you know, just struggling with his sobriety, but constantly coming back to the group. So there's something about the group that you're connecting with, and it's just like, I need my real life to connect with it. I need the physical. I need to be able to like hug somebody, man. There's nothing more powerful than getting a hug, man. And I remember in my toughest moments, you know, I remember I'd go into these rooms and talk about where I was at, and one of the guys would come up to me and hug me after the meeting, and I couldn't handle it emotionally, and I would completely unravel and just cry all over this guy. Just cry all over him. And he would just pat me like a baby and go, it's going to be all right, man. It's going to be all right, dude. You're doing the work. So let that happen. Let it all come out. You know, be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. You know, that is the message right now, that when you're open to vulnerability and you allow people in by allowing yourself to be open, then the miracles start to happen. Miracles start to happen. And there's no coincidence I'm on my way to a meeting right now. Like, I'm on my way. I'm driving to my Saturday morning meeting, and I'm going to see all my homies. And after the meeting, I'm going to hug a bunch of them, and I'm going to feel awesome. And it just takes time, man. It just takes time. I love being a recovering addict. I love it. Like, that is who I am today. Like, before I didn't know if I wanted to embrace that, but today I am a gratefully recovering addict, and I have no problem saying it. I have no problems owning it. And everybody that I hang out with are recovering addicts, because they're fucking awesome, genuine, authentic people that I can trust with anything that's going on in my life. Just like you, Steve, you're trusting us by becoming vulnerable. So I would get to a meeting. And just do whatever it takes to connect in there. Find my tribe. And man, before you know it, the last thing you are going to feel is lonely. Like, I love being alone now. It doesn't happen often, right? I love being alone and being able to focus and get into my zone and get things done and accomplish goals and meet with my, and do personal development and take me to another level, right? But in early recovery, man, I couldn't even think about this shit, right? It was just about, like, how do I string along some time? How do I hold a job? How do I stop fucking being emotional all the time? And, how do I just develop a foundation and feel good about myself? And as soon as I started feeling good about myself, I started feeling good about the world around me and allowing people in. So anyway, love ya. HP, baby. Sharing helps addicts in recovery.